we are continuing our discussion on acceptance and how it is transcendentally divine. And this meditation I have had
Sit
and more deeper realizations within the last few days. So the opposite of acceptance is called resistance. And because acceptance means growth, acceptance means freedom, as we were just discussing. And resistance is everything that goes against the nature of the human being. So we are going to go back between acceptance and resistance, back and forth, back and forth. Sometimes we wonder in our lives that why is it that I am not having those spiritual realizations and revelations in my life? Why is God not giving me happiness? Why am I unhappy? Why am I poor? Why am I sad? Why do I have the feeling of loneliness? So a very important principle to understand in this world is that life happens around us and all over us. Many people think that they can make life happen, but we forget to understand that life itself is divine. And that divinity is not within our control. So therefore, acceptance and resistance is deciding or choosing to choosing light over darkness, choosing enlightenment over darkness, or freedom over bondage. No matter where you are in the world, life will happen to you. And life happens based on the principles of karma. Whether we like it or not, karma and the three modes of material nature are continuously happening in and around all of us. And very often, we blame the instrument of our karma. For example, if Bodhva does not give me my croissants when I'm standing in line for prasadam, then I will have a tendency to blame Bodhva, that he is the cause why I did not get my full experience of a Belgian feast. And so therefore, because I do not want to accept that Bodhva, that it's my karma, that, everything happens in this world. There's an element of karma. And Bodhva is simply standing in line to serve whatever is on his tray. So please write this down. You may want to remember this. When we don't accept undesired events in our lives, it becomes anger. And when we accept it, it becomes tolerance. So please keep that sentence in mind and let me break that sentence down even a little bit more. So when we don't accept undesired events, because not everything in this world is going to go according to our desire. In fact, most things in this world will happen, things that we do not desire it to happen. And we don't accept it, and that's why we have a lot of rage, anger within us. And when we accept all the undesired events in this world and in our lives, then you're able to tolerate. Then it is considered tolerance. So write this down. This is going to be another important point that it'll help you in your life. When we don't accept uncertainty, it becomes fear. And when we accept it, it becomes an adventure. And I'm telling you this because this is all from this beautiful yoga text called the Srimad Bhagavatam. Nothing in this world is certain. Nothing that we have, nothing that we own, nothing that we claim. The very notion that we will exist forever is also uncertain. So when you accept uncertainty, it becomes adventure. For example, most of you will be joining me on the pilgrimage to India. And you don't know anything about India. You haven't been there. And everything can go wrong. But I can assure you, when you come with me, even though things may go wrong, you may not even notice it because the nature of traveling in India is an adventure. Many people go to the Himalayan mountains to hike. Nobody knows what's going to happen on the path, so much uncertainty. But because they are ready to accept the uncertainty, then it becomes an incredible adventure to climb the Himalayan mountains. So now you know how to turn anger into tolerance and fear into adventure. So write this one down as well. This may be very helpful to you. When we don't accept others' bad behavior towards us, it becomes hatred. And when we accept it, it becomes forgiveness. And when we don't accept the success of others, it becomes jealousy. And when we accept the bad behaviors of others, a success of others, yes. And then it becomes inspiration. So you'll notice that in every situation, when you look from a yogic perspective, people's successes, we become very jealous. And we lose the opportunity to inspire ourselves for success. And that's why yogis are constantly inspired by every creature on the planet, because they are happy by the success of others. Everyone inspires them. They live a life of inspiration. That is the juice that drives them, that fuels their determination to. So we have to realize, we have to ask ourselves, do we want to live a life of jealousy, or do we want to live a life of inspiration? So this acceptance is really, really the key to live a very, very fulfilled life. And this acceptance is the key for our own personal spiritual growth. When we cultivate this mood of acceptance, you will notice there is a three-dimensional change in our lives. The first thing that happens is there is an emotional shift in our lives. And big shift in our lives. We're emotional beings. Everything in this world that we see, that we hear, that we smell, that we taste, creates a certain emotion. Just this one principle of acceptance completely changes your emotional status. And when there is an emotional shift, then there is also a practical physical shift in your behavior, in how you interact and experience the world. Then finally, when this combination of emotional and practical physiological shift, then there is a neurochemical shift in the brain. So this is why this principle of acceptance is so deep. And one great saint, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he explains that if you learn the art of acceptance, you can navigate through the life of repeated birth and death called the samsara. When we constantly try to assert authority and control every aspect of our life and the lives of others in every situation and circumstances, that is not acceptance. Acceptance really, really, in its deepest spiritual sense, means humility. You cannot have complete acceptance unless and until you have the deepest level of spiritual humility. And humility comes when we realize that everything in this world is uniquely positioned and has a unique purpose for this beautiful ecosystem. There is a divine plan for each and every one of us, for each and every thing in the world. It is understanding the divine purpose behind everyone and everything. Then we are able to practice the deepest level of humility. Humility is to understand that we are a small player in this beautiful universal cosmic creation. And the more spiritually advanced we become, the more you become humble. To the degree one is spiritually advanced, to that degree, you can see the humility in that person. Humility doesn't mean just meek and humble. Humility means doing the right thing. Humility means acting according to dharma. Humility can also mean that you're guiding and helping and directing and telling people what to do because you're doing it for their betterment. And, there's a beautiful story of this great saint, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, one of the great saints that lived maybe 100 years ago. One time he was walking around in a marketplace called Navadvip. And some of the young boys in the town, they started throwing rocks and stones at him. And he simply looked at those boys and he started talking to them as though those boys were the personification of the deity in his heart of Gaur Nitai. And so he started addressing the boys, "Oh Gaura, oh Nitai, stones at me. If you don't want me to be in your town, I will just leave. And if you try to stop me from leaving the town, then I will go and complain to your mother." So it is a very interesting level of consciousness that he has. Children throwing rocks at him, he thinks that those children are the personification of the deity of his heart. Imagine you look at your tormentor who's going to slap you, you think, "Oh, this is the deity from my altar who is slapping me." So the whole principle of understanding this acceptance and practicing it is to really realize that there is a divine reason and a cause for each and everything that happens in the world. In that beautiful story in the Puranas of this young prince named Dhruva, and when he did not get the opportunity to sit on his father's lap, and his father told him that he could not sit on his lap, then he was very, very hurt. And when he went crying to his mother, who was the queen, the second queen, and not treated properly by the king at that time, then his mother very nicely explained to Dhruva, this young prince, 5-year-old prince, who was very, very angry. He said, "My dear son, please understand that your father disallowing you to sit on his lap while he's sitting on the throne, your father is not responsible for that. The responsibility is fully with you. In some lifetime, at some situation, in some junction, you must have done this to someone else. She said, my dear son, please take responsibility for your karma and do not be despondent, do not be sad. Once you understand the laws of karma, you will realize that you will never blame the instrument of your karma. Because in this world, we have a common bipolar emotions, dual emotions. One is romanticization, and when we don't get what we want, then we demonization, then we demonize them. So when things work according to how we want it to work, then everything is perfect. When things don't go the way we want it to go, when we cannot control the environment, then we start to talk about it as though something is wrong with everyone else but me. We get theoretical knowledge from other teachers. And then when we practice those theories, put it into practice, then we have realized knowledge. And that realized knowledge is very beautiful, it's something that you realize from within. And then there is something called revealed knowledge. When we have acquired knowledge and we put it into practice, it becomes realized knowledge. And when you realize knowledge, that turns into wisdom, or it turns into revealed knowledge, because the divine from within gives you access to the unlimited knowledge reservoir that is within all living creatures. So this is the way it works, that she's been applying all this theory, and now she's come to realization. And now that realization is even completely illuminated with revealed knowledge, which is the divine is revealing to her, Kamala, please accept me. And now she can accept. And this is the path of spiritual enlightenment, to apply the knowledge that we have gained, and that knowledge becomes realized knowledge, and that knowledge then becomes revealed knowledge, and that revelation is the divine connection that we have. So this is my realization for this week. And I feel very happy to share this with all of you. The power of acceptance, the value of acceptance, the freedom of acceptance. Acceptance means to understand there's a divine master plan. Because there's most everything in this world you want to understand, Arjuna. Our ability to understand is very limited in this world in terms of the vast cosmic creation. We don't even understand how the food that you eat, how it goes through your system and turns into energy. And that energy turns into blood, and it goes all over your body, and it turns into your ojas, and it creates a life. Can you imagine, right? You eat food, and that food creates another body. Imagine that. Can science do that? You take some rice and some croissants and some vegetables and cook it up, and you can make another Arjuna. Is it possible? But you are a product of what your mother and father ate together. And they ate, and they had a body, and that turned into energy, and that energy combined both of the energies, and voila, there's little Arjuna. So the universe has a very complex mechanism that we don't understand. Someone comes and slaps Arjuna in the face. It will make no sense to you why this person slapped you. It could be that that person is crazy. Maybe there is a neurological disorder. Maybe that person is someone that you crossed him in the path and you cut him off in the highway. Maybe that person is the person that you went to middle school with and you took his pencil away and he's holding grudge, and so he slapped you. Maybe that person slapped you because you looked at his girlfriend and he didn't like that because you're more handsome than him. There could be a million reasons why someone would walk up to you in the middle of the street for no reason, slap you in the face. So everything that happens in the world, there's a complex karmic exchange that is happening. And so therefore we understand that everything only happens by the arrangement of the divine. And so we understand that we don't understand. And so that comes through spiritual sadhana, spiritual practice. And our consciousness goes up, we are able to understand that we don't understand. Because most things in this world we will not understand. It does not make sense.
We
And
understand.
so beautiful part of things, we should always try to change what we can. And the best change that we can ever make is to see how we can change our outlook at the world and understand that there is a divine plan ordained for things to happen the way it happens.